I am here with Jeff and Jeff Jr., or Jeff and Jeffrey, whatever way you want to say it, father and son. As we've been doing these COVID conversations, we've been doing this to kind of just hear what different people are walking through during this season. So before we get into our conversation, tell us a little bit about your family. And Jeff Jr., Jeffrey, I'm going to put you on the spot. Tell me about your mom and your dad and your siblings.
My parents are, my dad is a lot quieter whenever he wants to be, but he talks a lot with stuff he's interested in, whether it be shows or the Bible or stuff like that. And my mom, she's all over the house a lot. She's always coming to my room, seeing what I'm doing, walking in the kitchen, walking back to her room, in the living room, everywhere. My sister, she's fun to hang out with. She's something. And my nephew, he's also something. He's a lot of a busybody, but he stays on his tablet a lot too. So.
Do you know how long your parents have been married? Pop quiz?
18 years.
18 years, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
18, okay, 18 years. And what's the age difference between you and your sister? 2, 3 years?
But the age difference between me and my sister is 11 years.
So yeah, 11 years difference, okay. Now, who's wiser?
Between me and my sister.
Oh, okay. And who's the favorite?
Me.
Oh, okay, and very objective. Jeff, what about you, man? Tell me where you guys live and tell me how long you've been at the Springs.
Well, we moved here from Cleveland, Ohio, and when he was 3 years old when we moved here.
Awesome.
Actually, he's grown up a lot since we moved here. But yeah, we live in Gibsonton, Florida, and it's a hop, skip, and a jump from getting to the Springs. So
yeah. I am still amazed, y'all. Listen, I am so privileged and blessed that you guys chose to come to the Springs because your drive, I mean, there's so many places you pass up. But of course, obviously knowing who my wife and my kids are, they're the real draw to the church. And so,
right, yeah.
And so precious. Well, listen, COVID's impacted everybody across the globe, and even these conversations talking about COVID up close and personal. Tell me a little bit about just with your family. What's it been like since everything shut down that March it was about early March of last year. Where have you seen life been before that, and what it is now, just with your family lifestyle?
Well, it hasn't changed it too much. I mean, we stay around the house. We're homebodies pretty much. When it happened, my mother was here.
Oh, wow.
So during that, trying to stay safe with her and her age and what she's battling with, we just wanted to make sure that that nothing would affect the house, and Cheryl, the wife, dealing with some health issues around that time. So it was kind of scary in one sense, but at the same time, I mean, we just kept business as usual. So.
What about you, Jeffrey?
Like my dad said, we are homebodies. The only thing we would do is just go to the movies with each other. But it turned into a lot of more seeing each other around the house, because it would always be me coming home like at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock from school, and my mom would show up at the same time. But then I'd go to my room, do my work. My mom would go to her room, watch TV. My dad would be in his room either working on websites or playing his game, something like that. So it hasn't really changed that much. So that's it.
What has work life been like for you and Cheryl, Jeff? Because you were normally working from home anyway, but then Cheryl was working out of the home. Has she worked at home now or now back? What's work life?
No,
been like?
she's back at work now. She stayed at home for maybe a couple weeks. Any opportunity she get to stay at home, she gonna stay at home. So
right.
She took advantage of that opportunity, trust me. But no, it's actually, for me, it's been business as usual. I mean, it kind of, slowed down, but we still, I get up out of bed and go in my office and work and, close the door.
And that's still got to be such a blessing. I tell you, that's one of the things that is just incredible during this season, man, praying for so many people whose jobs didn't have that much flexibility. Have you seen that even with people you may know who they didn't have the same flexibility of the job and being able to do it from home? And remember, some people have lost jobs or anything like that. What have you even watched from that?
No, I've had a few friends that got furloughed, couldn't go back to work and they got furloughed. Some even, couple even just went and started doing their own business. Didn't go back to work, just started working, from home and consulting and doing things like that. So they made a way to
Yeah.
make it happen, so.
What about you, Jeffrey? What about when it comes to doing school now and even relationships with your friends?
School, I've gotten the mix of both worlds. Like I've been online and then recently I've been in school. Online isn't that hard when it comes to being in your classes and just like sitting there and listening to what the teachers are talking about. But at the same time, it's a lot less teaching that you're getting because it's me being a kinesthetic learner. I do a lot better, in class, working on the assignments with the teacher there. Like with my science classes, we'll be doing labs and stuff like that.
Right.
So it was a lot different, especially when most of my classes are science classes. So when they're teaching me about stuff that pertains to dissecting and the body parts and all that, where it should be physical, it was a lot harder to learn about that stuff.
You just use the word kinesthetic.
Man, I was impressed. See, you brought it before I did, man. Man, can you help our viewers? You're a kinesthetic learner. What does that mean, Jeffrey?
It just means I'm a hands-on learner.
Well, I'm sure that even comes from the discipline your parents have had to do with you, which I'm sure has been very hands-on through the years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely
A lot of prayer. Listen, so one of the things about you guys that I'm glad to have a father and son connection, but also you're a Christian household and Christian family. And I know as we walk through this time of COVID, our faith has really been impacted in ways. And so could you talk a little bit about that just at home? And Jeffrey, I'll ask you first, just, it's one thing for you to navigate this as a young person, but then a young person of faith who's been, raised in the Lord and goes to church. How's your faith been impacted during this season of COVID?
It's been a lot harder considering the fact that I wasn't able to go to church in the beginning months of COVID. Like we couldn't do the Thursday night Bible studies like we were doing, which were a lot of fun, and we couldn't go on Sundays to sit and listen to the sermon. So it was very impactful, but we were still able to stay strong in our faith and read our Bibles and and watch the online sermons and stuff like that, and the streams and stuff like that.
Good. What about you, Jeff?
It's been the same. I mean, we just, a lot of, now it's just everything is on Zoom, we use that as much as we can. You get zoomed out, at a certain point. But, one thing, because as we began to work with our students, especially on Zoom, it was, you can feel the disconnect. You can feel the connect, but you can also feel the disconnect. So that was kind of tough. Because with our kids, you want to connect with them.
Yeah.
You want to be able to relate to them and everything. So trying to keep that going is just been tough. Because they Zoom at school and then they got to Zoom at church and so.
Well, that's very true. I remember because what everybody may not know too, also it was great, Jeff and Cheryl, you guys lead our youth ministry. And I remember those early days of, hey, we were doing the Zoom, we had the Zoom games and Bible study going on. And I remember talking with the youth pastors and said that, man, because kids were Zooming at school and then Zooming at church, they were getting zoomed out, as you said. And so that's been something. One of the things about that, as you mentioned, is even it's amazing the amount of effort you got to put more into when it comes to staying connected as a church. What have you seen in your own personal lives, even in your family life, when it comes to continuing to grow in your faith, just the amount of effort it's taken now as opposed to like before COVID, even if you got a little off track and your week got busy, hey, you go to church on Sunday and get a word and get in Bible study and or midweek, you mentioned being with the youth ministry Thursday nights. Now, because there's less in-person things happening, can you talk a little bit about that, about what effort it's taken to continue to really strive and to keep growing in your faith? What about you, Jeff?
It's been a little bit of a struggle. Like I said, not being able to do Thursday nights or go into church to listen to the sermon, but it's still fairly easy considering that we are strong in our faith already. And the reading the Bible part, like we used to do it a lot more, like when we were in church and going to church physically, because on Thursday nights we would have scriptures that we would memorize and stuff like that, which would keep us strong in our faith because we would be learning those and memorizing those. But now, since we haven't been able to do those, I would say we haven't stayed strong, like reading our Bible as much as we used to, but it's still good.
It's real, man. It's real. Why you, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. I mean, I think, being at church kept them engaged into the studies, into the Word of God. But now it's more of a conscious effort, because you can be so relaxed at home. You can be, on watching, the sermon on Sunday and cooking, cleaning, and
Which y'all never do when you watch me.
No, exactly, not right, exactly. So, but no, that's just the thing. I mean, there's so many, you don't realize all the distractions that you can get at home, and it's even just been more now. It's just continuing distractions, phones, TVs, the whole 9 yards. So it's a little bit tougher. It's a little easier to get caught up into other things and doing other things.
Yeah, even our time, it's amazing how when you have the physical building to drive to, you can get in focus mode because you're in the building with other people. When you're at home and you're trying to stay connected, even, Jeff, we're on our Thursday night men's Bible studies, and man, I'm home, but I got still those 2 kids that I love so much, and every time a Zoom is happening, they can smell a Zoom and they say, oh, I need to get in there at some point. It's some really good things that come out of it, and I think that's the part that we're learning, that we're doing this together as a community, which is so impactful. Well, let me ask you this, and this is probably one of the last places we'll go. When you think about this time, for a lot of people, this is very stressful. It's traumatic. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to read in the media and the newspapers, and people can get really caught up into just the stress and anxiety of this time. But as believers, some of the best times in our faith are the most anxious times. Some of the times when we can really have to focus on the Lord is when there's so much going on around us. So I kind of asked you this question kind of in 2 ways. One, what encourages you about this time? What are some good things that you see that even in the midst of the stress, something that encourages you, especially as a person of faith? And then also, what are certain opportunities you think about that we should take advantage of? And one, you could talk from your family. Definitely talk from the family perspective, things y'all may be taking more advantage of now that you're home a lot more together. But then also, just as believers, things that, man, we should really take advantage of this opportunity. Jeffrey, what about you, man? What's something that you see is good about this time, but also good opportunities?
Something good about this time, it would be, considering that everybody's a lot discouraged. I know a lot of people who aren't really strong in their faith, so it's been easy to talk to them about it, and to kind of just, help them be able to stay focused on what they need to do and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say it's discouraging in a sense, but it's still encouraging. There's some things that are very encouraging.
What is an opportunity you see, especially as a young person in school? What grade you're in now?
I'm in 11th.
So you're in 11th grade. So especially as an 11th grader, what's an opportunity you see as a teenager who's walking in the faith? Are there certain opportunities for sharing the gospel that you're seeing more now?
Actually, no, because me going into school, I don't see that much people. There's a lot less people in my classes and stuff, like 2 or 3, maybe 5, 10, but not as much as there used to be. And then if I'm at home, the people I talk to, they're like my close friends, and most of my close friends are really strong in their faith, like Joel, Noah, so.
Yeah, man. Well, that may be a great opportunity to even see what the Lord may be doing in this season, because I think especially with so many young people and what they're having to navigate, how the Lord may really use you. And I can only imagine what ministry is going to look like in your generation by the time you get to the age of myself and your dad, because now with this COVID season, ministry and churches have changed. So what about you, Jeff? What are some things that, man, encourages you and some opportunities we should take advantage of?
I think one of the things that encourages me is sometimes we can get so busy, with our day-to-day operations, both in and out of the home.
Yeah.
I think, during this time, it's to cause more people to be at home. So, you see each other more, you communicate with each other more. In times where you normally don't eat together, you can eat together, So that's been a good thing throughout all this. I mean, we have, you know, and I think a lot of families, you know, probably experience that, you know, because you can't go anywhere. You know, you gotta keep it tight knit at home.
Wow, man. Anything you would encourage for people? Hey, as a believer, what is something we should be really taking advantage of to make an impact during this season?
Just taking advantage of the technology, you know, taking advantage of, you know, now, you know, it's to pray with somebody over the phone. It's you know, it's not a big deal. I mean, because that's what we confine to.
Yeah.
You know, we confine to either talking to them over the phone, praying with them over the phone, sharing the gospel over the phone, sharing the gospel through, you know, Zoom or whatever technology that we can use to do that. And then also too, when, you know, knowing that if you do meet with somebody in public, the time is short. You know, you don't have much time to really, you know, to say, okay, well, you know, well, we'll get together next time. So, you know, because that next time may be months between the
So really
times.
having that sense of urgency is really
Absolutely.
good. Well, man, I appreciate both of you guys taking your time. Jeffrey, thank you for dragging your dad to be part of this. And man, appreciate you, appreciate your insight, appreciate your wisdom, and we'll just continue to pray what God will continue to do during this season. All right?
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for watching.